Hello ladies and gentlemen, I hope your day is off to a good start. Today we're going to focus on some new stuff from e.l.f. I wasn't going to do any big Black Friday shopping, okay? And then I noticed that they were doing like half off your whole order, and one thing led to another, and I ended up with this stocking cap and quite a few other things that were new. As I started browsing the site and I'm like, wait, I've never seen this before, and this and this and this. But look at the very robust pom-pom on this stocking cap. And I don't even mind that it says e.l.f., you know? Elves are a thing, e.l.f. on the shelf, e.l.f. on your head. It's very like thick and sweatery feeling, and I might have to pop this on for the finished look. I know, I'm nuts. But here's what we're gonna talk about first, and this is one of the things that kind of drew me in to do a Black Friday e.l.f. haul at all. They've got this e.l.f. Plus Glow line, and they've got a Glow Dewy Mist, which smells freaking fantastic. The first time I sprayed it out, I was like, droplets, droplets. But I think something was just working its way out of the sprayer, because now it's just a super fine, like, it sprays out like any other mist, but it does look downright milky there in the container. That's not just the color of the outside, you know, and it smells so good. It says this coconut infused mist hydrates and boosts glow. If you like a coconutty thing going on there, that's nice. They've got a glow primer stick, which I'm not gonna be using this one today because I've got a different primer thing I wanna try. But this is like super slick. It almost feels like the end effect of a water cream, you know? Very thin, it is hydrating. It's maybe not quite as cooling feeling as this other stick that I have from e.l.f., the Prep and Hydrate Balm, but I think they're about the same level of hydration. And then I also got this Glow Radiant Moisturizer. This has coconut and hyaluronic acid and has SPF 15. Claims to give you a golden glow, so I'm gonna put some of this on today. I was playing with this yesterday and I could see a little, I don't know, a little added radiance after I'd gotten it on. So yeah, I'm coming to you fresh in this video, nothing on my face. Do you see it? Do you see it a little bit? As you're blending it in, it has kind of the thinness or just like a real average moisturizer consistency. But then once you've got it all in, you realize, wow, my skin feels pretty deeply hydrated from this stuff. So I think normal to dry skin could definitely see an impact from that. It's interesting with the coconut scent though. Just like this time of year, it's kind of throwing me, but I really like it. The moisturizer though seems to have more of like a, just smelling my hands here, more of a sunscreeny scent to it. Here's the other thing that I've had a lot of questions about already. It's the Poreless Putty Primer, and a lot of people have been asking if this is similar to the Tatcha. They say this is gonna moisturize the skin and grip the makeup for all day wear. So they tell you to apply a thin and even amount to moisturize skin prior to makeup application, then you're gonna allow that to set for 30 seconds before applying your foundation. It doesn't come with that little like coin that the Tatcha does that you sort of drag across the surface of the product, and then there's a little line so it shows you've picked up the right amount, but we'll just eyeball it. And I have used this, as you can see, before. I've been playing with all this stuff a little bit, but I'm gonna pick up what might be the equivalent of like a pea-sized amount here, and I'm just gonna start blending this in. And it does have, I think, a similar feel to the Tatcha. I mean, it's a really like comfortable feel, very smoothing, but I feel like the end result of this, the end result of the feel, this feels a little more hydrating at the end, and the Tatcha feels a bit more silky by the time you're done like getting it all blended in. But I can see kind of an effect on the pores there. But I enjoy this stuff. It reminds me a lot of the type of effect you're gonna see from the Catrice Prime and Fine. I've recommended that in the past, so if you pick that up, it's similar. But I've never really felt like the Tatcha was a total miracle worker. It was the type of product where I'm like, okay, this is nice, feels good on the skin, nice experience, but I never felt like, oh my gosh, this is super worth it, you know? So to someone like me with that opinion, getting the e.l.f. is gonna probably feel close enough to help you get that kind of Tatcha experience. Here's another kind of prep step that I ended up with: Sheer Blurring Under Eye Primer with hyaluronic acid. This blurring under eye primer helps smooth fine lines and puffiness to prep for makeup application. It says priming micro wax will help makeup stay in place. So you're gonna apply a thin layer of this, and again, they advise you to let it set for 30 seconds. You can wear it alone or put concealer on top, but this is just a basically colorless thing here. Do you see that? It looks almost peachy, but it's gonna go on colorless. It feels very smoothing. I used this the other day and I actually really liked it. It feels very balmy to touch the product with your finger. finger, it feels like a lip balm essentially. And then you get it going here on your skin and you've got that smoothness, there's a hydration. Sometimes it's kind of odd to see a product that is so smoothing but also does pack in the hydration, because sometimes the smoothing things just get this dry, silky feel. But next up, I just want to show you, I did order the BB cream. I have it in nude. It's a little dark for me. I had forgotten my stance on it. I was like, have I tried that, or did I try something called a tinted moisturizer? I used this the other day and it was okay. Like I said, the shade is kind of off. It's got a little coverage to it, so I think the shade matters a little bit more with this product than it does with some BB creams. But for the purpose of really seeing the effects of that primer and also the under eye primer, I'm going to use an actual foundation today. So this is e.l.f.'s kind of main classic foundation here. I think it's called Flawless Finish, and I have it in sand. I've used this quite a bit and I think it's a really like decent foundation. You know, it's medium coverage, it gets the job done. I've had pretty good staying power with it. It's just like a pretty darn good foundation. And I'm just going to blend this in here with my Eco Tools brush. It's from that Cozy Glow brush set, and I feel like the one side of it is just like a Sephora Pro Mini Flawless Airbrush. So that's the side that I'm using to blend out this foundation. It's great for concealer too. What do you guys think of the scent of this foundation though? It's a little, I don't know, like florally, is it? There's definitely a fragrance going on in here. I notice it every time I wear it. Just as I'm putting it on, it dissipates obviously after you've got it on. But don't you feel like that foundation did a darn good job? Like my skin feels really evened. I can still see freckles. It didn't like totally cover up my under eye or anything, but it's doing what I think medium coverage foundations are known to do. It's very non-drying. As far as looking at the under eye and thinking about the prep stuff that I put there, I'm not convinced that I'm seeing a huge difference. I think what that product is going to be about more for me is just the feel. It's like a supercharged kind of eye cream balm or something. And I don't feel like it's going to transform the upper texture of my skin, but I think it's doing something a little deeper in terms of just extra hydration. That's what I see that step as. But my pores and around my nose looks good. That's kind of a good area for me to judge a primer that claims to be sort of perfecting like that. For concealer, I'd never seen this sculpting concealer brush before, but let me get this out. It's kind of a triangle shape. This I have not yet played with at all. Yep, it's a straight up triangle. And if you touch the little corners of the brush, like if you would happen to hit sideways, the little points of the ferrule there could get you. And it is cut at an angle. So I don't know, this may be good. For concealer, I think I'll stick with e.l.f. I'll use my Fair Light. This is from their Beautifully Bare collection, and it's a concealer stick. It doesn't have a ton of moisture to it. Like, I would not totally go recommending this or anything. For me, it's not as good on my skin as the CoverGirl is, the CG Smoothers stick concealer. But how well does this brush blend it out? Well, it can certainly get to that little under eye cavern, you know? But I think I'm used to using concealer brushes that are a little bit bigger than this, and it doesn't feel like a whole lot of brush. And I am really hitting my skin, as you can see, with the ferrule, because it's just like, as the bristles move, there's a ton of opportunity for you to make contact with that part with your skin. Gotta be careful about that or I'm gonna get a cut or something. I think e.l.f. has another concealer brush that's a little bit like fuller, and I've liked that very much. This, like, especially getting around my nose, I can feel the sides of it so much on my skin. They got a good thing going with the feel of it. Like, it feels like those smaller, you know, Sigma precision kabuki brushes and whatnot, but the brush head needs to be a little bigger and the ends of it need to be further from that ferrule because it's hitting me all the time. Did get the concealer blended out though, so that's good. I don't really have any e.l.f. powders handy, so I'm going to use my Laura Mercier, my translucent setting powder here on the under eye with my e.l.f. small tapered brush. And we'll just get that area all set. I am going to keep using that little primer, eye primer balm as I'm calling it, because I think it is giving me some extra hydration beyond just what regular eye cream is doing for me. Yes, I live in a world where e.l.f. and Laura Mercier can live happily with one another. All over the rest of the skin, more of a real skin tone match of a powder for me here is my L'Oreal True Match in Buff Beige, and I'm just using my e.l.f. complexion brush for that. I did pick up a complexion brush and a small tapered brush in this haul that I'm going to give to my mom because she really likes using her Needs palette every day. And I feel like the small tapered brush that I just used on the under eye and the complexion brush are such good companions to that palette for all the face steps. You guys know I use these brushes like every single day. Oh, and I'm also gonna need to find a way to work in some glitter in my look. If you didn't watch my vlog, you may not know that I'm doing 31 days of glitter. I've been challenged by my friend David. So it's just that simple. I've got to work glitter into my look for 31 straight days. It could be eyes, lips, cheeks, body, hair, I guess. But if you want to keep up with it, I have a highlighted like part of my story on my Instagram feed. So you can go to my main instagram.com/EmilyNoel83 and one is called Days of Glitter and that's where I'll be saving all of my looks. Apologies for using all the non-haul stuff right now, but I didn't really do the haul thinking I was going to get a full face. I just wanted to try certain new stuff. So I'm going to go to my old contour palette here. I love this thing so much. I need to rediscover this. So I go into the contour shade. There's a contour, a bronzer, and then two kind of highlighter-y tones. I sometimes like going between these two. Gives me like that perfect tone in the cheekbone area. Here's something I'm really excited about. These monochromatic multi-sticks. I've used two of the three that I got already. The Glistening Peach and the Luminous Berry. They're built just a little bit better for being a cream cheek color than a lip. I mean, they just have a little feeling of dryness on the lips, but that dryness in the stick is what helps it blend into the cheeks easier, you know what I'm saying? When there's a little element of silkiness, you're always gonna have an easier time blending out a cream blush. I'm gonna go to the bronze today, and they say it can be used on cheeks, lips, and eyes, and they all have a certain amount of glow to them, like just kind of a satiny finish. None of the ones I have a really strong metallic look or anything, and I can just use my e.l.f. small stipple brush, pick the product up directly off of the stick if you want to, or you could streak it on and then blend it out if you want a little heavier application. I'm trying out this bronze almost as though it were blush. Gives me sort of that neutral blush look. What I love about the small stipple brush is that it applies such light pressure as you blend out that you don't feel like you're messing up foundation and powder underneath. That's how you can kind of get away with this cream on top step. Sort of want to layer on one of the other colors just to show you more. We'll do just a little bit of this peach and I'm gonna dab it on. Do you see where I put that? Very glowy and radiant. And then if I put this on the lips too, there is just that feeling of dryness. Like it can still function as a lip color, but it's just gonna throw you for a loop for a second because these look so much like a lip balm and they do not have the lip balmy moisturization level at all. This peach is probably the glowiest one that I have. But these are pretty and I think they did a good job of formulating something that was gonna be able to work in a truly multitasking capacity, because if this was too goopy, it would have no hope of even wearing on the eyes. But it reminds me of those little sticks they first came out with, like they're packaged the exact same size as those glowy sticks, you remember that? They're like little cream highlighters. Back when e.l.f. was brand spanking new. All right guys, in the spirit of keeping this a little quicker, I went ahead and did my brows again with e.l.f. my $2 Instant Lift Brow Pencil in deep brown. I also popped on a little bit of eye primer. And these other things here are gonna kind of round out my haul actually. They've got a new palette called the New Classics. This is full of just matte and shimmery neutrals. There's some warm, there's I think a lot of cool happening in here. I absolutely love the texture of the mattes that they're working with here. The shimmers here and there are a little bit hit and miss. Like Beloved, I thought that is hard as a rock and barely shows up. I really struggled to get Black Cherry to show up a whole lot on my eyes. But then there are some like Blanc up here that I think are really strong. The Rose Gold shade is pretty darn good as well. But I really enjoyed the look that I created there. And then I noticed that they also had these. They're like little palettes for different decades. I got 90s Mood, which is kind of, you know, rich shades, deep jewel tones and bronzy colors. And then I also got the 70s Feels one, which I thought incorporated some lighter colors that I really liked. The 80s palette didn't really speak to me that much, but I thought it might be fun to work one of these into today's look. I also picked up this Cut Crease Eye Brush Kit. I'm not sure if this is holiday or just a general kit, but a big reason why I wanted it is because they have something called a detail crease brush here. So a crease brush that's a little bit on the smaller side, and I love love brushes like that. And a couple of these brushes I already have like now in my rotation again from getting that brush kit that I mentioned in my last video from e.l.f. The contour brush and the eyeshadow C brush. Out of here I'll take out the small precision brush, the flat eyeshadow brush, and the detail crease brush. And I'll use this one labeled contour brush, which is a little bit larger size. And I'm gonna go into my 70s Feels palette. One of these shades cracked just a tiny bit in the corner, but I'm going to this bronzy brown in the outside. But that's a complaint big time that I have over this order, was that everything was just tossed in a box. There was nothing. There was no packaging at all. Not a bit of bubble wrap or those little air pocket things. It was all just thrown in a box that was pretty generously sized, like probably double the size of the actual contents, which made it even worse because stuff was just probably jostled around a lot. So I'm surprised we didn't have more breakage. Every shade in this palette has some sheen. Same with the 90s one, but because I'm applying this with like a crease brush and I'm sort of buffing it out a little bit, I can barely see any shimmer to this. A lot of times it's all in the application. And this little contour brush, while different from my E25, it's doing the job. But what kind of strikes me is that both in the bigger e.l.f. kit that I mentioned in my last video and this cut crease kit, there's no like big fluffy blending brush. So you're on your own for that, kids. I will just use my Sigma E40 for that step. And let's see, what could be a good highlight? Maybe even just a little bit of this rose gold. I'm kind of just using that on the edge of the crease actually, and just letting it buff out as much as it can toward my eyebrow. And I've actually got a certain glitter that I want to work into this look on the eyes today. It's called Diamond Crumbles from MAC. I think I'll use this periwinkle color, and I'm using the really flat brush. So if you're doing like a mega cut crease look, you know, you could probably use this brush to get your concealer or whatever base you're using placed just so. But I'm not gonna really get that extreme with it today. I'm just gonna apply this. It's pretty frosty and pigmented. It's got some sort of flecks in it that are making it just a little chunky as I blend it out. I'm gonna try the detail crease brush now in with that darkest shade. I'm holding a lot in this hand. I wish it was tapered down the sides just a little further, but it's still like a good amount of bristles, and I'm able to really shape the outside of my shadow the way I want it. And I've got this detail brush. What should we do? Like take some of this, maybe a little bit of this greenish shade, and let that kind of slide in here around the inner corner. Gosh, this detail brush is good. It basically looks like a lip brush, you know? It's very, very pinpointed. I kind of want to pull some of that color up onto the lid a little more though with the flat brush. It's very, very seafoam here. Then I think I'll clean off this flat brush, and I'll use this to assist me in my glitter. This is a MAC Dazzle Shadow Liquid in Diamond Crumbles. I think I already said that. And I'm just gonna get some right in here, and then I'll pat it in with this brush. Got a little more control with my finger, I think. This glitter has a real like lilac-y, bluish, icy tone to it, but the shadow itself I think is still showing through to some extent. Glitter is just going to be one of those things that's kind of like, you don't exactly know what it's going to do. These creamy like eye glitters that are suspended in a liquid are a little easier to control, but you just don't know what your finished effect is going to be like. I think that's kind of cool. Next up, guys, I'm just going to take my smudge brush with that greenish shade, and I'll use that all underneath the lower lash line. I think that'll be a good place for it. It's almost like it's doing the Nike swoosh around my inner corner and then under the eye. I don't know, I'm just playing. Just trying to have a fun time here at 6 a.m. on a Monday morning. Then guys, I'm gonna do some liner. I really wanna do some black, clean liquid liner with this look, and I think I'll pop on my Risque lashes, and yeah, then I'll be right back. All right guys, all done. I can finally pop my hat back on. I'm sorry that this eye look clashes so terribly with this red shirt. He's still in football. But here's what I did to finish the eyes. I actually took a dark green liner in the lower inner rim. This coordinated so well with the green shadow. It's Urban Decay Overdrive, and I've got that in my lower inner rim, black liquid liner winged out up top, my Risque lashes on. And then on lips, I'm wearing my Infallible Pro Matte Gloss in Statement Nude. I know I could have worn one of those multi-sticks, but I just wanted a little more muted, less like shimmery, shiny color. But I am pretty pleased with a lot of the new things I tried. As far as the skincare stuff goes, I think this moisturizer is probably my favorite. The spray is nice too, don't get me wrong, but that's just more of a fun thing to me, and this is more like, I like the little bit of glow, I like the level of moisture, and it has the SPF. That Poreless Putty Primer, if you're looking for something in the ballpark of the Tatcha that I think actually provides a little more moisture to the skin, you might like that. But I'm even more excited about the Sheer Blurring Under Eye Primer just because, like I said, it gives you that like step beyond an eye cream. I really like it. As you saw, I was not really a fan of that concealer brush. I do like these multi-sticks. I don't know why I'm keeping everything back in the box. Probably because e.l.f. doesn't always do a good job of saying the product name on the product. The Luminous Berry, which I was wearing the other day, might actually be the prettiest blush shade, and lip color for that matter. Eyeshadow-wise, I think we've got a real nice, like, kind of classic neutral palette here, except, you know, some of the shimmers are a little less than what you would expect, but the mattes are really good. I had fun with the 70s palette. I did not pull in any extra eyeshadows except for that glitter, and even then, I'm still keeping a lot of the same tone that the shadow gave me. I've just got a little veil of sparkle on top. I've swatched the 90s mood, but haven't used that yet, but I think that's going to be a really nice kind of fall-winter palette. And my hat, of course. I love a hat, so this look is working for me. So thank you guys so much for your time. I'm excited to get working on the Emily Awards, which will be coming to you very soon. Stay tuned to my social media for more updates on exactly when, but I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye.